What's up, guys? Scott here from the Hot Tub Hustler. Today we are walking through 100 feet of snow uphill both ways to get to this hot tub, which is right over here. And the circuit board is dead, so we're going to be swapping out the board for a new one and try to get this guy going again. Okay, so here's the original board. It's Gecko IN-XE3. Very simple, basic hot tub. It's got a single pump right here. Single pump. Your controller, which is your keypad, and then you got here your light controller. So pretty basic. Single pump right here. We're lucky it's got some gate valves here, and then there's one on the right-hand side of the board over here, which, assuming they work, we'll be able to shut them off and isolate the circuit board so we can remove it and keep the water in the hot tub. So we're going to replace it with a Balboa pack right here. It's a BP7 with a TP600 keypad, and looks like a circuit board kind of, but there's a sticker here that you put on it. So the connections for this keypad, as you can see, it's a 4-pin. Whereas down here you have kind of like an 8-pin, I guess it is. And then you got your light controller here, same looking type of connection. And the light for the new one looks like this. So we'll be removing the pump cable here. The new pump cable looks like this guy here. So we're going to have to switch out the pump cable, switch out the keypad, switch out the light connection, so everything works with the new BP7 pack. All right, first thing we want to do is shut off the power. You can see the GFCI spa pack is right beside the hot tub. Do not do that. This is not the code. This has to be 10 feet from water's edge if you're in Ontario. So not ideal, but that's what we got. So shut it off. There you go, it's off right now. First thing we'll do is we'll loosen the ground screw here. Take that apart. Pull the wire at the bottom. There's our ground. These guys have a little thumb clip. Push them down. Right they come. And then it's a Phillips or a flat for the power wires. Pretty simple. There we go. So you want to get them somewhat parallel so you can try to pull them out of the connector after. These are really brittle, they're falling apart, all the clear coat. There we go. So just loosen up the connector on top. There we go. And we'll steal this connector, use it for the next one. There we go. A couple of screws to hold the spa pack on at the bottom here. And there we go. So everything's unhooked from the spa pack. There's a little zip tie here holding the cables together. We'll just snap that off. There we go, gone. Next thing we'll do here is we will close the gate valves. So right here, got a gate valve, so you just remove the little stopper, push it down into the groove, and then there's one back in here. Take that off, push it down. Open these two couplings here. There's a very good chance it's still going to leak out water, so you're going to get some leakage here and on the other side. The gate valves up here, they never really seal it properly for the most part. So you want to get your other spot pack ready to go so you can kind of swap it quickly and not lose all your water all over the ground. So this is how the BP7 comes. So how's the pump? The unit is already attached, so you gotta just take them off in advance. They come with brand new gaskets as well. So in here, they have brand new gaskets. So if the old ones are bad, you got some new ones to replace them with. Okay, so we've got our spot pack ready here. And so we're just gonna do these two couplings right here. So loosen that one up. And we'll loosen the other one. Oh, this one screws them both here. Screw both of these guys. There we go. Out she comes. So you can see there's water coming out still a little bit. And so these ones look pretty good. But you know what? We'll put new ones anyways because they're already here. Okay, so let's put the new pack in. We'll thread it on like that. There we go. That's how the connection tightened up. Now we'll snug up this guy here. All right, and we can reopen up the gate valves. There we go, and put the little stoppers back in. They just snap onto the silver part, onto the metal. Snap that guy out there. And then you just check, make sure there's no drips happening. We'll check again later on once the power's on, but and we'll put our screws back in here. We'll open this guy up here. There we go. So a little different in here. Power connections are here like the other one, but obviously there's no exterior connections for the pumps and stuff like that. This isn't going to plug in here, obviously. So we need to change all the connectors. Also this connector here that came with the other pack, it's too small for this hole, so we'll get a different connector for that guy. So here's the old connector here from the old pack. Doesn't really work with this new one. Doesn't really work because you can see the hole's too big. It just kind of rattles around, and you can see how it would touch some of the connectors in there, could short it out. So that's an L17, that's no good. The new one, the proper one's an L19, so it's just much bigger. So you can see when this goes in, it doesn't move. So when you're doing this connector here, there's not a lot of space between the metal and the neutral bar here. So you could use like a lock ring like this. That comes with it, but I don't. I use a plastic one. So that way that won't touch the metal down there and short things out. So it just threads on. So once it's threaded on, you can see It's very close, but it's plastic, so it doesn't really matter. Next step, put the wire in. So push it through the holes, and then just tighten up the screw here, set screw. So you can see it's labeled pretty clearly on the board here. White on top, red, and then black. And these screws already come pre-loosened, so pretty simple. Just put them inside the connections and tighten them up. You want about 3/4 of an inch of copper showing. Make sure nothing's cracked and broken off. So they look pretty clean, not too bad. So there is a trick to putting these wires in without fighting them. So you want to bend it towards the connector for all of them. Like that. Then all you have to do, so your white goes on top, just grab it and bend it in, and then when you push it into the hole, it sits there by itself. So you just tighten her up. And the same thing for the red. I got it bent towards the connector, grab it halfway, and then just bend it. Same idea. There we go. Tighten her up. And black. Bend her in. So if you make the wires too short, it's really hard to get it in the connector. There we go. Now down here, there's a hole through the plastic in the side. There's a green arrow with a sticker. See it? So there's a green arrow down here with a sticker. Kind of hard to see there, but right in there. There's a hole through the black plastic to hit that ground bar. So this copper wire goes through the hole and out onto the set screw here. So you want to loosen up the screw right here. There it is, through the screw. Tighten her up. Now when you're in here, you want to make sure this copper wire is not touching any of the whites up here. So that one's pretty good. Or it'll short out when you turn on the power. Okay, for the light, this was the original connection right here. This one has a quick disconnect. So you pull the end off, and now you have the proper connector. You can see how it's made. You got a red, black, green, and white. So if you had to, you could cut this off and meret it onto the proper connection on here. So that's the one that comes with it. So you do like your green and white, meret it onto your white, and red and black onto your black, and then it'll work same way. But luckily we already have the connection on there. So up in the corner, top right, there is a light connection here. Just like that. So the light's done. Nice and easy. So the last one is going to be the pump cord, and then we'll swap out the keypad. Okay, so the pump cord's changed out here. I'll make another video to show you that. And then you just push it onto the pump 1 connector inside here. There we go. So we got our pump on here. And our light, last thing is going to be the controller, the keypad up top. And if you're wondering how I know where everything goes, there is a diagram which shows you basically where everything goes on the board. but we'll go into detail on that in another video. So here's the original keypad. Underneath this keypad, you have to move kind of the bubble wrap here. There's a couple of wing nuts that have to be loosened up in order for it to let go. So you basically undo the 2 wing nuts and then pry up the keypad. So you see, just kind of pry up the keypad here. A two-sided taped in there. So yeah, you just pry that up, pull it out there, and give her a little clip. So there's a keypad with a little wing nut that you would see on there to hold it onto the back of the acrylic. And there's the hole where it came out. So here's a new keypad, and unfortunately it doesn't quite fit in there, as you can see. So we'll have to make the hole bigger. Usually I just use a Dremel tool, and we'll just kind of trim around the hole and make it just a little bit bigger. It's close, but not quite. Okay, so my hole's made. It's not the most beautiful hole, but it's the right size. And on the back of the keypad, there's a 3M tape you just peel off. Take the 3M off, and you just feed your cable through. And just push it down. They'll stick on top. There you go. And then in the other bag is your sticker or your overlay to go on top. Same thing, 3M tape on the back. There we go, peeled off the back. And there's a new keypad. So just feed the connection through the insulation. Okay, fed the wire through all this bubble wrap to where the keypad is up there, and just plugs into the top right corner here. So next thing we're going to do is undo these silver screws here and take that plastic out, and that's where you feed the wires through the side. That way you can put the cover back on. Alright, so undo these screws here. Flying snow. Little tabs that you just pull off so you get the wires through. And so just take your wires, and put them through the holes, little grooves. There's our pump and our keypad and our light wire. Just push this back in here, screw back in. And there's all your wires held in. Now this particular board is set up as a 1 pump already, so you don't need to program it unless you're doing anything besides a 1 pump hot tub. So we won't talk about that, but this should be ready to go. Everything's connected now. It's pre-programmed for a 1 pump hot tub. Okay, so before we fire this on, this pump, if you look at it, it's actually a 115 volt. So if you can see it there, sorry it's hard for it to zoom in. Right here it says 115 volts. So we have to change that on the circuit board. So if you go to where you plug in pump 1 right here, this cable here is called J46. Right up here. If you zoom into the board, it says J46. It's hard to see there, but that J46 goes to this big group of whites over here. And so what you want to do is take it off, and you want to put up on group 4 up top here. So just push it on there. There, push it on there. So that converts this pump from 240 to 120. So we'll go ahead here, fire this guy back on. There we go. You'll hear a little click. There it is. And then, so here we go. It's going through its startup sequence. 240 volt, perfect. Then you hit temperature up or hit pump. And there we go, running low speed. Jet again for high speed. Perfect. Then you get your light button. Hard to see, but it does work. And it says too cold because the water's so cold right now from not being on for so long. But everything's moving, so that's good. So we'll let it run for a second here. I'm going to show you how to check to see if your heater's working. With the voltmeter, put it to amps. Get that on top. And then just clamp it around one of the wires to the heater. Or onto. So here's a. So it's actually clamped around the heater wire. It's going from this screw into this connector here, this black connection. And so the heater comes on. You see the amperage jump up. So right now the hot temperature is the temperature of the water. Once it does that, it'll click on the heater if everything's working right. So you'll see the screen flashing here, so the heater's going to come on shortly. There's a click, and there's your ampage. So almost 16 amps. So if you do the math on it, you have 240 volts coming into the circuit board. You divide that by the 4 kilowatts on the heater, which is 4,000 watts. So 4,000 divided by 240 will give you very close to your 15 or 16 amps. And so that's how you know it's working properly.